International relations is one of the important part of UPSC Prelims as well as mains examination. So in this video, we are going to discuss what is the scope and importance of international relations and how to prepare for it. UPSC Prelims is one of the most dicey part of the examination. Alright, but if you prepare IR thoroughly, then it can definitely help in getting the high score and qualifying the prelims examination. Alright, so every year around 6 to 8 questions are asked from international relations, and major focus areas of UPSC are international organizations and international agreements. So for example, see, last year in 2023 there is this question on G20. This G20 was in news. Alright, and then there is this question on Stability and Growth Pact of European Union. Alright, so every year most of the questions from this section are asked directly on international organizations. Many international organizations, like let's say United Nations, maybe some other specialized agencies of United Nations like UNESCO, alright, and WTO, maybe World Bank, and so on. This list is too big. So these organizations needs to be prepared thoroughly. Alright, and the second important part is international agreements. Like this year, this Stability and Growth Pact was asked. So major focus of the UPSC is on the current topics. Those organizations, those agreements which are in news are of extremely importance. Alright, extreme importance. Then this preparation of prelims makes a foundation for your mains preparation. Alright, and you should not consider that the preparation of prelims will definitely suffice for the mains examination. No, the approach for mains is altogether different. Alright, so let's dive deep into it. So when we talk about international relations for mains, then there are 4 questions asked every year. 2 questions are asked in section A, that is, one question is for 10 marks. So these are there, here are 20 marks, and then in next section we have 2 questions. Each question is for 15 marks. So these are 30 marks. All right, so the weightage of this IR in GS2 is of 50 marks. Though this weightage seems less, but you should consider the fact that this international relations area is one of the most productive area of mains examination. That means you can fetch excellent marks in this section. So give proper importance and prepare it thoroughly. Focus areas for mains are in India's neighbors and major powers. Alright, so India's neighbors like Pakistan, China, Bangladesh, and if any country is in news, for instance, now Bangladesh is burning. Alright, it is in news. So there might be a question this year, there might be a question next year. Alright, so next is major powers. So major powers means USA, UK, Japan. So these are some major powers, and so on. So these are some major powers. So India's relations with these powers. So these 2 areas are of extreme importance. Then this bilateral, regional and global groupings. Bilateral groupings and regional groupings, like for example SAARC. Last year itself there was this question on SAARC and BIMSTEC. Alright, so many regional organizations, maybe global groupings are asked in the mains examination. Then India's foreign policy. So typically India's stance on various international issues like climate change. Alright, so you can see this question number 19 of last year, the expansion and strengthening of NATO, a stronger US-Europe strategic partnership works well for India. Alright, and then there is this next question, what is your opinion about this statement? Give reasons and examples to support your answer. So basically those global groupings which are important, which has impact on India, so UPSC will definitely ask question on that. Alright, so you have to consider that those happenings all around the world, if it is not of any concern for India, then UPSC will never ask question on it. Those organizations, those groupings, those agreements which have considerable impact on India will be asked in the examination, and there will be only question, what is its relation, what is its impact, what is its influence on India. Alright, so you have to consider this fact whenever you will be reading, whenever you will be studying for the international relation. What is its impact on India? For example, let's say there is this dispute in South China Sea. Alright, so UPSC has asked question on this South China Sea dispute 2-3 times, but every time there is this question: what are its implications for India? What are India's stakes in South China Sea? So you have to consider this thing, that whenever there are some international events, whenever there are some international agreements, but what are its implications for India? So this section is extremely important, and there are questions only on this aspect. All right. Now see, next important aspect is international organizations. All right. So see this last year there is this question for 15 marks. Question number 20, 15 marks. Discuss in the light of above statement the role of IMO, International Maritime Organization, in protecting environment and enhancing maritime safety. All right. So you have to keep in mind, whenever you are preparing for the international relations, you have to focus, or you have to give more importance to these areas. See this question as well. Question number 9. Virus of conflict is affecting the functioning of SCO, right? Shanghai Cooperation Organization. In the light of the above statement, point out the role of India in mitigating the problems. All right. Again, this question is on regional grouping. All right. And the last point in focus areas is current affairs. All right. So if you look at the questions of every year or last year, you can just observe that most of the topics which are asked in the question are from the current affairs. All right. So that does not mean that you should not read static part. So if you want to write excellent answers on the current affair based topics, that means you need to have some foundation for it. All right. Then only important keywords, then only important substance of the content can be brought in the answers. Now we have got the introduction of importance of IR in prelims as well as mains. So now next question is how to prepare. What are the best sources for its preparation? So if you want to start your IR preparation, you should start from the basics. All right. So that means you should first read NCERTs. So there are these two NCERTs which are important for IR, and these NCERTs are also important for world history in GS1. So this contemporary world politics, and second one is politics in India since independence. So these two NCERTs can be read for international relations. Next is class notes. So next task. So after completing the basics books, you need to read any standard class notes of any standard coaching institute. All right. So after reading the coaching material, you can go for the reference books. Do not read any reference books first. All right. So you have to get the exam orientation, and for that reason you need to have some UPSC specific content, UPSC specific orientation in the content. So for that matter, you need to read any class notes. And these books like Foreign Policy of India by V.N. Khanna, there are some many standard books. All right. So you can read any book, but this Foreign Policy of India by V.N. Khanna is more relevant for UPSC mains examination. All right. So the content is very much analytical. The content is not biased at all. Next is current affairs. Current affairs is another important aspect. For that matter, you can read the newspapers. All right. Newspapers, The Hindu editorial, and especially next one is Indian Express. All right. So you can read the editorials of Indian Express, and you can also read the editorials of The Hindu. All right. So first thing that you should keep in mind is you should focus on the focus areas of UPSC. All right. Like for example, India's neighbors, China, Pakistan, maybe Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. Then India's major partners, that is major powers, USA, UK, France, Russia, Japan, Australia. There have been many questions on these areas. Then next is impact on India. All right. So whatever you are learning, whatever international events or whatever international agreements you are learning, so focus on the impact it has on India. All right. So for example, when you are studying South China issue, focus on its impact on India. All right. So if you are reading on Russia-Ukraine war, read on its impact on India. Give more focus on that. All right. So that is of much importance. Next is India's stake. So whatever international agreements or international groupings are there, like BIMSTEC, SAARC. So what is its importance for India? All right. In 2022 itself, UPSC has asked on the significance of BIMSTEC for India. All right. So next point is Indian diaspora. So Indian diaspora, especially in West, that is Europe and North America. There have been many questions on this particular area. All right. What is the role of Indian diaspora in extending India's interests globally? All right. So, and moreover, what are the roles played by Indian diaspora in social and economic and political life of these Western countries? So there have been such kind of questions previously. Whenever you prepare any subject for mains, you should always keep in mind you have to prepare it to write good answers. All right. So while writing answers for international relations, you have to keep some points in mind. First point is you should develop a good vocabulary of international relations. All right. So the good vocabulary means there can be many words like geostrategic partnership, maybe natural ally, geopolitical interest, and so on. All right. So these subject specific vocabulary should be developed. Second important point is you should learn impactful introductions. All right. So these introductions can be with some data, some facts, or some reports. All right. Or maybe some examples can also be quoted. So we will see the example shortly. Third important point is you should learn a common framework. All right. A common framework for studying relation of any two countries. For instance, if you're studying about the India-Bangladesh relations, all right, then imagine a common framework. Like for example, there are political relations. All right, so there is this political engagement, diplomatic engagement between India and Bangladesh. Then we have economic relations. All right, there is trade, maybe there is FDI, FII in between these two countries. Then we have some socio-cultural relations as well. All right, for example, India and Bangladesh shares a common linguistic background. Then there can be a technological cooperation. All right, for instance, India and USA have signed the nuclear deal. All right, then there be maybe defense cooperation, the way we are having cooperation with Russia, the way we are having cooperation with Israel. So there are some common aspects. There are some common aspects that you have to pick. All right, so this framework can be elaborated and this framework can be further developed in detail, and in such a manner you should look on any relations. All right. Next is you should always look if any map can be drawn. For instance, if there is this question on India-Pakistan, or if there is this question on India-Bangladesh, what are the issues in India-Bangladesh relations and how to smoothen the relations. All right. So in that case, you can draw the map of India and map the map of Bangladesh. All right, and you can showcase the border region. All right, and you can mark some areas in that map where is the conflict. All right. Next is key reports can be quoted to substantiate your points. For example, the reports of UNDP or maybe reports of WHO, World Bank can be quoted to substantiate your answer. All right. So those aspects of answer writing that we have just discussed, we can observe it through this answer. All right. And see, there is this question: India's relationship with Pakistan have been marked by both cooperation as well as conflict. Analyze the key factors influencing India's bilateral relations with Pakistan by focusing on recent developments. So there is this question. First, you need to understand the question. India's relationship with Pakistan have been marked by both cooperation as well as conflict. All right. Analyze the key, this is just a context. All right. The main question starts later. Analyze the key factors influencing India's bilateral relations with Pakistan. So this is the main demand. This is the main question. Key factors by focusing on recent developments. All right. So now, as I discussed, introduction should be impactful. So you can start introduction by quoting the importance or significance, or what facts can be, whatever facts can be written can be quoted here. See, India-Pakistan trade stood at more than 2.1 billion in 2017-18, but it decreased to less than 1 billion according to the World Bank in 2023. Now, through this introduction, I am trying to showcase the cooperation as well as the conflict. So there was this cooperation with 2.1 billion trade. Now this trade has been decreased to 1 billion only. So there might be some conflict because of which this trade has been declining. All right. So what are the factors? Now let's come to the main demand of the question. So there are these factors creating hurdles in India's and Pakistan's relation. So what are those factors? Let's discuss it. So before writing the main body, we can try to incorporate a map. All right. So here I am just showcasing India and Beside it we have Pakistan. All right, and I have showcased this Sir Creek region, which is a conflict zone. Again, this POK, Pakistan occupied Kashmir, again this is a area of conflict. Now let's come back to the main body. So what are the factors that influences the India Pakistan relations? So first factor is cross border terrorism. All right, this cross border terrorism which is sponsored by the Pakistan, and like for example we have this Pulwama attack in 2019, 26/11 Mumbai attack. So I am substantiating my points with example. All right, next point is border disputes and Kashmir issue. So for example, abrogation of Article 370 by Indian government in 2019, it intensified the conflict between India and Pakistan. All right, so there was this LOC skirmishes, and even there is this conflict over the Siachen glacier. Third important factor is Chinese influence and partnership. All right, so there is this दुश्मन का दुश्मन दोस्त होता है, तो जैसे पाकिस्तान एंड चाइना हमारे दुश्मन है, तो वो दोनों दोस्त हैं. तो इसी रिगार्डिंग CPSC जो चाइना पाकिस्तान इकोनॉमिक कॉरिडोर है, it definitely violates India's sovereignty because it passes through the Gilgit-Baltistan region, which is an integral part of India. Next important part is political instability in Pakistan. All right, so this political instability in Pakistan and the greater influence of army over the civil administration, all right, over the politics. So this is again creating many problems for India and Pakistan's relations. Next is many threats are emerging from the Pakistan to India's internal security, like drug trafficking issue is there, then money laundering, then counterfeit currency, and so on. Next is Pakistan's support to anti-national elements of India, like Khalistan movement, maybe Kashmir separatist movement. Then there are also this technological angle of cybercrime, including cyber terrorism and cyber espionage. All right, so these are some hurdles. All right, these are some hurdles, these are some factors which are influencing India-Pakistan relations. So now here I am writing some negative factors. All right, and this is the demand, analyze the key factors. So this question is analyze, this keyword is analyze. So I have to write some positive factors as well, which are facilitating the cooperation between India and Pakistan. So there are some factors like we have ceasefire agreement, which was signed in 2021. All right, it has definitely helped in reducing the border skirmishes. Next is we have regional organizations like SCO, where India and Pakistan both are members. So these organizations, these forums can also be these forums are also facilitating the cooperation between India and Pakistan. So now we have seen there are many issues, many conflicts between India-Pakistan relations. So you should always write the way forward for your issues or challenges, whatever you are discussing in your answer. All right, so here we are writing the steps. So this question is for 10 marks. So we don't have liberty to write this way forward steps in detail. So we are just writing the headers. All right, so to ensure a peace and stability in the region, following steps shall be adopted. So see, peaceful resolution of disputes. So India is always advocating this point. Next one is track to diplomacy. All right, so apart from the political leaders and diplomats, we can involve some other stakeholders like academicians. All right, academicians, maybe people in general, civil society can also be included in the resolution of disputes. Next is we can have more economic integration. All right, so there will be less scope, less preference to the political conflict or any other conflicts. And then regional cooperation organizations like SAARC, like SCO can also be harnessed to resolve the disputes. So now let's come to the conclusion. Regular and sustained dialogue by building mutual trust can result in long-term peace and prosperity in the South Asia. So I am concluding with a positive perspective note. All right, and the resolution of the conflict between India and Pakistan, resolution of conflict will definitely result in the regional stability and peace, and it can definitely ensure the prosperity in both countries and ultimately in the region. So this is how you have to write your answer. All right, so see we have introduction, then I am incorporating diagram, then I am writing the points. These points are very brief I'm also adding examples to substantiate my points. Then I'm writing counterpart as well, and then I'm also writing the way forward, and then I'm making a conclusion. So these all aspects needs to be covered. So whenever you prepare for international relations, check whether you have these all aspects or not. All right, so when you prepare India Bangladesh, India Nepal relations, so first understand its significance. What are the data facts around India Nepal relation, India Bangladesh relations? Then look for the factors facilitating the cooperation, then look for the factors creating hurdles, then look for the significance of that relation with India, and then what steps, what measures can be taken to improvise the relation. And make sure that you have good content for making introductions, making conclusions. If you have any questions on international relations, you can ask me in the comment, and please do not forget to like and subscribe the video. And if you want to learn more on such topics, international relations and other topics, you can join our intensive mentorship program in which we have detailed discussions on each and every aspect. All right, thank you for watching.